Hello, my beautiful friends. I have another little talking video that I want to make for you guys today. And it's a kind of a notion that I've never really thought about. Yesterday, I came across a video and I'm going to play it for you guys real quick because it's just a short little snippet. And it was just another one of those, oh, they're right. All right. Another Easter egg. So I'm going to go ahead and let you guys watch it, and then I'm going to share some of my thoughts that it left me with.
Hey, babe, I'm gonna make it as simple as I possibly can for you. This is the thing. When you were born into somebody else's reality. What I mean is that you're a newborn baby. Somebody's going to teach you how to survive in the reality that they live in because they're the ones raising you, okay? So you're going to end up picking up whatever trauma it is that they have incurred in their lives that they did not necessarily heal or deal with yet, okay? And what you end up doing as you become older and become more consciously aware, you learn things. That's what we do here. We learn. So you're going to end up learning how to survive the reality of whoever your parents are or your guardians are, so that way you could do it better than them, because, girl, you see what's going on and you're on the outside of their world looking in while still in their reality living that shit with them, okay? So until you get into a place where you can finally allow yourself to be confident, bold, and courageous enough to drop their reality, step into your own shit, live your own authentic path in your own natural lane, so that way you could do you, be you, how it is that you do and what it is that you do in the way that you do it, baby, you're going to keep feeling real traumatized living in a world. So, girl,
So I don't know why this is something that I've never really thought about. The idea of us being born into a reality that isn't ours, and then having to progress through that reality, surviving in that reality, seeing how your parent, like, you're literally inside of the reality of your parents or your guardian, whoever may have raised you, or heck, say you didn't really have a guardian around and the world or people were your influence and they were the ones who kind of showed you what reality was. I never thought about that. I really never thought about that. We are completely raised and born into a reality that isn't ours. And it kind of is like, well, no wonder there's so many of us who feel so confused. We don't know what our purpose is. We don't understand what's going on. We don't understand our reality. And it's because that's not our reality, if that makes sense. We were just conditioned to learn how to survive inside of that reality. And now when we're smacked with the reality that, what the heck is this? What the heck am I supposed to do? We feel so lost and confused. And I think it's because we've never really came to the conclusion that, dang, it's time for me to create my own reality because I've been surviving in somebody else's this whole time, you know? From their, like they had mentioned, from their traumas to their fears to the things that they enjoy, you know, to the holidays that are celebrated, to the religion we might find ourselves in. It's like that was a reality we were born into. And we didn't really have a choice. I didn't have any choice other than to listen to my parents. You know, when I didn't know what to do, I would go to them. Or when there was a problem, they would tell me how to solve it. You know, if something weird or tragic was going on, it was explained through their reality. And then we just adopt that reality. And yeah, and I'm kind of just sitting here like, holy moly. What are we all really supposed to be like doing? How are we all supposed to be living, you know? Because my reality and what will be of that reality will be completely different than yours. And so I also feel like what happens when we kind of come to this understanding that we've been living in somebody else's reality, we might become persuaded, or just, like I said, because we don't know what to do, we might fall into the reality that the collective is living in, you know, the masses, everybody who thinks, acts, sleeps, drinks, does everything the same, you know, they all live the same. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. So I wrote down a couple notes so I could try to kind of stay on track because, like I said, this is such a weird concept that I'm kind of starting to understand. So I wanted to share with you guys and see what you guys thought about it. We're raised in the reality of our parents. They teach us through their reality. And another thing that kind of came to my mind while I was like taking notes was generational trauma. I feel like if we don't ever fall into our own reality or build our own reality for ourselves, we fall into the habits and the old mindsets that a bunch of people in our family have fallen into. It's been passed down and passed down. So say, you know, we're really anxious or people are really uptight, you know, everybody acts a certain way. That may be because that's how their upbringing was, and their upbringing was, and their upbringing was, and we've never done anything to fix it. We've never taken the power, stepped out of that reality, and seen life for what it is. See our life for what it is. Our own personal unique experience, right? Not our moms, not our dads, not our grandpas, uncles, brothers, great uncles, great grandma, great 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 grandma, right? Their reality that they lived is so long gone too that it's almost crazy to think that we can still think that way, you know? This is so interesting. We spend many, many years learning, observing, picking up generational trauma along the way, still working for their reality, surviving through their reality. You know, our parents have made it this far because they've survived, right? All the things that they've acquired, all of the knowledge, all of the theories, all of the concepts, all of the perceptions, right? It was because they lived a long life living in their reality. And now, because we were born into their world, that's all we're gonna know, right? Until we kind of step out and we're like, oh, crap, there is the other side of the woods. I've never even thought to explore it, right? This like even kind of connects with Baba Yaga. We gotta go out into the forest by ourselves to learn about reality, to learn about how life works, to learn that what our parents taught us might not be true and it might not be that helpful. It may have helped them survive in their reality, but guys, we have our own reality that we need to survive in, and it is a weird world out there. Our reality is so much different than what our parents grew up in. From social media to technology to just the education system to politics, everything has changed so much. And for me to kind of be like, dang, you've been conditioned to survive in the reality of 50-year-old parents, right? Who grew up in the 50s. It's so interesting. It's so interesting. And what I also thought was amazing that was talked about in the video was all of us have the ability to see our parents and who raised us. We can see their reality, the world that they live in. But we also have the ability to step out of their world and perceive it for what it is. You know, not blinded by what they're seeing and what they've known. You kind of get what I mean? Like, we have the ability to step away from that reality and see that that's not all that there is. We literally have the ability to look from the outside in. We can see what's working and what's not working, what we want to take with us when we maneuver forward through our journey and through our reality. We might see that the way our parents react, it's not it. It doesn't help. It's not healthy. You know, you might have seen that. It could even be how your parents treated each other throughout a marriage, right? You could see like, oh, okay, that's how their reality was. I'm going to make sure that that doesn't trickle into my reality. I'm going to make sure that I don't carry that way of living into my life. And if we're not careful, we will. If we act and think that and live as though we don't have control over our own reality, and also if we think that we don't have the ability to step out of that world that our parents or our family or our friends are living in, if we act like we don't have that ability, then we'll fall victim to that reality, and that's all we'll know. And then we'll just be surviving in somebody else's reality that wasn't working. I think having the ability to look from the outside in on the people who raised us, maybe our siblings, on their reality, I think that it should give us such huge inspiration, because there is an endless amount of information and just resources that we can take away from that. We have the ability to see from the outside their world, their problems, their reality. We can see that. I think that is so powerful. That gives us an advantage, you know? So I think that if we kind of say, yes, this is scary. It's weird understanding that I've been surviving in a reality that's not even made for me, you know? It might be scary. Taking that huge control and responsibility, that's big. That's big. Mentally, physically, spiritually, all over the place. But understanding that we can look in and see things for what they really are, and we're not blinded, we're still young, we're still growing. We just got to this earth, right? Other people have been here for so flippin' long. Their ideas and their way of living is set in stone. Some people are never going to change. Their reality is always going to be the same. Their bad habits, their good habits, their hobbies, their schedules, the way they perceive things, it's never going to change. So while we're still mendable, while our mind is still grasping this reality and what it is, because we're still so clueless, we haven't written in stone, this is how it is. We have the power in the palm of our hands, right? And I think this is sometimes why our parents might have such a hard time understanding why we are the way we are, why we act the way we act, why we want to do or pursue the things we want to pursue. Because they don't understand that our reality isn't theirs, even though they brought us here, right? And even though that's all we really know, and some of us, that's all we've ever experienced. Like, I never really thought about this until I just realized, like, yo, Sarah, your parents are gone. Their reality is gone. Like, I don't live in that reality anymore. And I think that's why I'm having such like an interesting time just like taking in the world and how I want to understand the world, because I don't have those people to go to explain, oh, well, this is how I see it. This is how I've gone about and it's worked in my reality. This is what's helped me in my life. But it's crazy because me not being weighed down by the reality, both realities of my parents, right? I now have the freedom to look in from the outside in on almost everybody else's reality. I don't have those voices over my shoulder saying, you can't think that way, you can't act that way, don't research that, don't live that way, don't think that way. I don't have that. And I know I'm not the only one. I know there's probably a bunch of you guys who are living by yourself. You moved way far away from your parents. That's why I also feel stuck right now. And I don't know what to do and I don't know how to do things because I didn't understand that. I just thought that this is what it is. The world my parents showed me, taught me, made me believe in, it doesn't exist. Like Santa doesn't exist. The tooth fairy doesn't exist. This little reality and bubble that they built for me to experience the world, it's not real. And now I can pop it and be like, whoa, what all is out here? What all is out here to learn? Every single one of us has the power to drop the reality we've been living in. I promise. It's scary, it's weird, but we all have that power. We all have the capability. We're all strong enough. We're all smart enough. We all got each other, right? So heck, what are we waiting for? It's like the doors are open and we're like, I like where I'm at. This reality makes sense. I don't have to question it too much because I'm just told how it is. I like the reality that I'm living in where I don't believe anything I'm told, And I'm not saying that's like, I'm not condoning that really. I'm not, because that can be like stressful and filled with anxiety, but it's like I'm living in a world that I have to explore to understand. And it's crazy because yes, like I said, so many people can offer advice. So many people can be there for you, tell you stories, everything. But we're living in such a separate reality from them. We have to make sure we understand that because that understanding is so important. It's so important. Even my best friend, I don't live in the same reality as her, So to think like it's magical, honestly. We're all so unique. We're all so different. And to think that we can all still come together and love each other and share our thoughts, share our experiences and our observations, I think that's beautiful. There's a lot of people out there that cannot listen to the opinions of others or hear out people who think differently, right? Because they don't want to hear what their reality consists of. They think their reality is all that's there. And if somebody threatens or tries to push on their reality, maybe test it, that's a no-go, right? I think allowing our reality to be tested, it's amazing, it's powerful, and it is only welcoming growth, in my opinion. The power of us dropping their reality and stepping into our own unique, natural, and innate one, it's going to be life-changing. It will be hell living in anyone else's reality, especially if they are unaware or lack control of their own reality, right? So if you're with somebody and, after hearing some of this stuff, you're like, dang, I can tell that, for one, I don't even think they understand their own reality. They don't have control over their reality. And two, I don't think that they have awareness that my reality is completely different than theirs. And I think that understanding this will also make like heated discussions or arguments a million times easier to just understand and handle. Because if we have that little voice in the back of our mind that just reminds us, hey, their reality isn't even remotely close to ours. They wouldn't even, they'd be shocked if they stepped in our shoes, I think that's going to help. It's going to help me personally. And if anything is going to help me, I'm going to share it with you. I want to ask you a serious question. How do you want to live? How do you want to act? How do you want to breathe? How do you want to see things? Because the choice is yours. Look forward to the beauty in showing others the power of our reality. If we can build a powerful, strong, secure reality, nothing can make or break us. Absolutely nothing. Nothing. It's not something that happens outside, not something that happens in somebody else's reality, you know? If we want to dance like nobody's watching, but yet we've never seen anybody else do that, that doesn't mean it's not normal. That means that's something that can become normal in your everyday reality. And then, like I said, showing others the power of your reality, they will be completely inspired. They will say, dang, I want to wake up and turn on some music and dance like nobody's watching. I want to go outside and walk barefoot. And I don't care if anybody else in their reality, that's gross or that's not normal, you know? And like I said, it's so crazy to look from the outside in and see how many people are living in the same reality. And that's what they want. Imagine those that are in control, those that, you know what I'm talking about. How much easier is it if they have everybody sucked into the same bubble, experiencing the same reality, not understanding that we create our reality? They got us all over here brainwashed, thinking that we're powerless, guys. Like, it's absolutely amazing to me. And I promise, if we do not harness the power of creating our own reality, it will become harder and harder and harder to do so. I'm just saying, based off of how the world is going right now, it's not like it was 5 years ago, right? It wasn't like it was 10 years ago or 15 years ago. So even the reality that has created itself around us outside, it's morphing into something so crazy, and it will suck you in if you're not careful. But if you are careful, you can remain on the outside looking in. And that's magical. That's magical. So then once we harness our power, we can look forward to raising our kids in a way that they will never, ever experience the reality we had to experience that hindered our progress, that hindered who we were supposed to be, right? That gave us depression, that gave us anxiety. We can create a reality that they can then be influenced by and be like, oh, I saw my mom, and in her reality, she always made sure she saw the bright side of things. So I want to try, like, I'm talking as if I was my child. But then one day, I want my child to look up to me and see all of the stuff I created in my reality, and that I was in charge of it, you know? I didn't rely on everybody else. I didn't wait on anybody else. I didn't just sit around and hope, but I did it. I dropped the old reality that I was living in. I harnessed the power of my reality, and I started creating. Be the 5%. The other 95% is living in the collective reality, and that's blinding. It's soul trapping. It's an illusion built by bad people who want you stuck in any other reality, unable to create your own, or too seducing to walk away. Like, think about it. What if you're sitting there and you're like, nah, I love everything. My parents, the reality they gave me, I don't want to drop it. You're too attracted to a reality that's an illusion. It's not yours. Don't be that 95% who feels like they don't want to drop it, or feels like they don't need to, or feels like they can't, right? We all can. We all have the power to. And as I mentioned, if we're not careful, our reality will literally just morph into everything else, what we see on TV. Yeah. And it'll be too hard to look away. And it will convince us that there's no hope. There's nothing we can do. I know the world is changing in such wild and insane ways. It's evolving. I'm not saying if it's for the good or the bad, but it's evolving. And I feel like for the last 3 years, all of us have just been kind of like stuck in survival mode, sitting here being hypnotized by the reality that's being fed to us, not understanding that we can wipe our eyes. We can literally wipe our eyes before it's too late, and they just keep manifesting and manifesting and doing whatever they want in their reality because it's huge compared to our individual one, right? I feel like we've literally gotten to the point in our life where there is a control over the real reality. I might be wrong because I've never lived in that time, but I swear there was a time where everybody was literally living their own world, growing off of their own land, having their own community and their own villages, right? They convinced us their way would be easier. Their way would be more profitable, affordable. I want to build my own house. I want to live off of my own land and raise my own animal. I want to create my reality. This world is so vast and beautiful, and there are so many corners to this world that nobody has ever explored. But we all stay stuck, bound next to each other, running in circles. Some of us running with our heads off. Last night, I knew after I watched that video that I wanted to put my thoughts down on some paper. And then once I saw that, I was like, no, I gotta talk to you guys about this. Because like I said, if it gets me wild up, I know it'll get you wild up. I'm literally over here sweating every day of my life. Hey, but that's what happens when you're trying to build your own reality. But I'm not at the same time. And as I over here, I have goosebumps too, so maybe my body just needs some like regulating. Oh my god. It's so funny. So funny. But yeah, I really wanted to talk to you guys about that. I need us to be careful because heck, even my reality is not your reality. I'm over here living in a really, really weird world, right? You are probably too. But like I said, it's our ability to see from the outside in that I think allows us to connect with one another, to share our thoughts, because we have such different realities, right? If all of us lived in the same reality with the same thoughts, same ways of everything, what the hell could you learn from anybody? What would you have conversations about? But because we're so unique and we're all building our own realities in our own life, we have so much we can share. We think differently, speak differently, act differently, talk differently. We can learn from so many different people. We just have to stay open to that. And then we can't all conform and all be the same. Or we'll just be, all of us will be walking ducks, running around with our heads cut off. And I think that's what they want. They don't want us to have our thinking caps. That is going to be it for my little train of thought. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts. As always, please let me hear your thoughts. Also, just so you remember, I left my little thing on my community tab for you guys to leave me questions for my questions and answers, because that's going to be one of my next videos that I post. So if you have any questions, don't forget to leave me them below. That is all I have for you today. And I will see you guys later. Alligator.